Hello everybody, welcome to Knife Delights. I've been doing several cleaning and refurbishing videos and they seem to be kind of popular. It's something that I really enjoy doing and I thought I'd kind of step up my game here just a little bit. I decided to turn this Camillus electrician's knife into a project knife. And as you can see, this blade is extremely proud, so you cannot carry it. You wouldn't even want to leave it in a toolbox. If you grabbed it the wrong way, it could really bite you bad. So maybe one of the projects will be grinding off this kick down here and see if I can get it so that blade's not so proud. It's missing the clevis. We got solder down in here in the wood. So there's a lot of possibilities of what I can experiment on with this knife. And I have some other Camillus electrician's knives, so if I damage it too bad, I'm not out anything. But it should be a fun knife to work with. What I wanted to start off with is I noticed with the previous knives, as I put the knife down into the mineral oil to give it a bath, you'd see the bubbles coming out where it was the oil was getting down into the little cracks and crevices everywhere and is forcing that air out. The mineral oil in itself doesn't help to break down the grease. It can help displace it, the grease and oil, but it doesn't really break it down. So I thought I'd try an experiment and try soaking this knife in some Dawn dishwashing liquid, which does help break down the grease and oil, and just see how much we get it broken down. And then after that, drying the knife off and then putting the knife into the mineral oil bath, and see how much that oil forces the water back out of the knife, because obviously you don't want to leave a wet knife, especially when you got wood handles here. So this is going to be the experiment. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to put this in here. I got hot water and Dawn dish soap in there, and we're going to let it soak for several hours and just see what happens. Okay, so the knife has been soaking for about 8 hours. I haven't touched it, but boy, can you see all that discoloration at the bottom in the water? Let's look at this knife. I can see stuff all over this knife. Let's take a look here. Look at all of that stuff that has broken down. Wow, let me get a paper towel here real quick. See that water? And this knife was not all that dirty to begin with. This is pretty amazing. Look at all that stuff. Let me focus here. Can you see all of that stuff? Wow. Look at that. It certainly did get some stuff out of there. That's from all that tight back spring area. So like I said, I'd cleaned these channels out, I think, before and kind of oiled all of this and that. But in between the different pieces here, you can't get down in there to clean it unless you take the knife apart. But look how that all bleached out of there. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm going to dry this off just a little bit. And then we're going to put it in the mineral oil bath. Alright, so I used, one of these little cans of compressed air and blew out the pivots and that. Got some stuff out of there. So it looks like that Dawn did a really good job of breaking that stuff down and letting it bleach out. Wow, that's amazing. So now we're going to put it in the mineral oil and let's just see how it reacts here. I don't know if you can see. There's one bubble. Oh, there's a bunch of bubbles coming up now. Oh yeah, see those bubbles coming up? Yep. Pushing the water out, pushing the air out, getting into all those little tight spaces. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so it's bubbling up. We're going to let it soak for a while. I got the knife out of the oil bath and I got it dried off. And again, I put it down in here to let it drain out for a couple days. As you can see, we got some stuff drained out of there. So I would say everything's pretty clean inside. Knife has a good snap to it. So the action is really good on the knife. Very good. I don't think that in the process of putting this in the water and in the oil that I've ruined the wood handles any, or the wood covers, as we look at it. Now look at this. This is what kind of makes this, well, this is really an electrician's knife because it looks like there's solder there. But I don't think, like the wood swelled up. I was concerned because this hole here that they drilled out to put the clevis in, I was afraid, with the water getting down in there, maybe it was untreated and it would soak in and swell the wood, but it seemed to turn out okay. I would not recommend this on a, very expensive knife or a knife with a lot of nostalgic value to it. But that's why we're using this whole knife as an experiment. But look at look at there. That all looks pretty good. That slight discoloration now, I'll bet you with a little work with the Dremel and that will just shine right up. As you can see, it didn't take very much work. And boy, they just polished right up. They are looking good. So here's something you may want to try. Using some Dawn dish soap and soaking it first. Get that oil and grease and dirt and all that broke down and forced out of the little tight areas in between the springs and such. And then soaking it with some mineral oil, leaving it in there for quite a while, and it'll force that moisture back out. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. So this is the end of experiment number 1 with this knife, the use of Dawn dishwashing liquid. And I want to add, I just saw a really good video by Thrifty Kniffy where he restored a knife, and he used a few different methods than what I'm using. And J.O. Ventures has done a knife restoration. It's a lot of fun to watch the other guys see how they do it and pick up some tips from them maybe. So until next time, have a very delightful day, and we'll try to figure out what our next experiment will be with this old knife.